All right. Welcome to Matthijs, because today's episode is dedicated to Matthijs.
Did you say today's? I think you did. I'm going to wait for someone to verify that. And Jonathan is here, who's not supposed to be here, apparently. Goodness. Hi, David. Okay, well, Jonathan said it sounded right to them, so I'm gonna give it to you. I misheard. I apologize.
How gracious of you.
Just a second. I'm gonna remember how to say it. Olin Varanassa.
Isn't it just Barrasa?
Yeah, it is, because that would make more sense. Olin Varatsa.
And if you wanted to do the past tense, that would be Olin. Olin Barrasa.
Nah, I'm just wrong. Present tense. Oh, Jonathan, I hate that when you momentarily realize from a sunshine beam just how dirty a screen can be. And hello, Matthijs.
Finally. As we've already mentioned, today's stream is dedicated to Matthijs, and basically just how wonderful he is and how much he means to us.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. And so everybody in the chat, if you could constantly be praising Matthijs for the entire stream, I think that would really help solidify the theme of this episode.
I think so. And I super appreciate Matthijs, who's awesome. Yeah, so Logan, though, everyone indeed missed last week because
we missed it too.
We were traveling, and even though David had said we would try to stream, it was in between Thursdays when I pointed out that our schedule in terms of events we had planned while traveling would not allow for streaming of any kind.
Yeah.
And so instead, David held a sort of Q&A, Ask Me Anything kind of session for patrons on Discord in lieu of a stream. And I think everyone enjoyed it. It was so intense I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
But there was some good stuff that happened. And but I can personally verify, Logan, that David was incredibly appreciative of your winning of the Friends Quest. I think within 24 hours of it having started, in fact.
Duolingo has these week-long quests that require you to generally do things more than you would in an ordinary day. And it's based on your activity level. The types of... And these week-long quests are done with a friend. The types of quests that Logan receives are absurd. In other words, so some usual week-long Friends quests might be something like complete 6 levels.
Or 6 perfect levels, or just complete 10 lessons or something.
Yeah. The one that Logan and I had was 75, and it was done, I think, within 24 hours. Not by me.
Right. Our 1/ sometimes 2 lessons a day, depending on just what happens that day, does not really help in many quests. But we've had some amazing partners, Logan, and then Jake. Also, shout out to Jake who got me through the last Friends Quest, because I sure did not get us through that one.
Yeah. You don't need more friends on Duolingo. You need Patrick. You need the right friends.
Oh yeah, Logan is spot on. All right, so I also want to shout out to Bubba Matthijs. You're European. I love it. It's sort of a Dwight Schrutian kind of endorsement. And then Patrick, Matthijs means a lot to me. He means things like vile, reprehensible, disgrace, monster, ne'er-do-well, etc. That's not the right kind of love, Patrick.
That
but
is
I do
off
appreciate
brand.
It.
Off brand. Disgraceful.
Oh man, and hello, Danielle.
Danielle, by the way, I want you to try out this nickname. I'm going to write it in chat.
But you have heard of me, etc. Very true. Is that a reference to the yellowness of dandelions?
It's kind of cool, huh?
Daniello.
But you could also pronounce it like caramello. Stretch it out, Daniello.
Nice.
Just a thought.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Big news. I'm in the process of making it for real, but I had my name change hearing, so I'm officially Jesse Peterson.
Woo!
Through and through.
And that might seem like kind of a like, well, duh type of thing. And it would have been had Jessie only been changing her last name. Very simple process if you're only changing your last name in the United States after you get married. But Jessie wanted to change her first name as well. Because, and middle name. Because she was Jessica. Mm-hmm. And was apparently very paranoid about using the name Jessie on things like airline tickets.
You can get flagged for having a different name on certain things. It's just annoying when you have a name that you fully want to go by that's a shortened version of a longer name, but then some people are really weird about it has to be your legal name, so it has to match your documents, including like tax things and business things. And I just wanted to be able to say, you know what, my name is Jessie. That's what I go by, and I want to be able to sign it on everything and not worry about it.
Yeah.
And so I changed that, and then I also changed my middle name, yes.
But yeah, so legally, Jessie is now Jessie.
Yes.
No longer Jessica. It's pretty awesome.
So, and it's one of those things where it's obviously still my birth name and still something I totally recognize. And I know I have friends who just call me Jessica because they call everybody by their full names, and I'm totally fine with that. But now I don't have to think about forms. I go by Jessie. I am Jessie. Woohoo! See, okay,
Jake
George,
you watching. Jake is watching and not listening.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Arias. Hello, conglomerator.
Wait, no, I don't want to put user in timeout. I wanted to do something special.
Oh my God, Taskmaster. I approve there. Hooray!
I still have not really seen Taskmaster. I would like to.
That's the British show, right? Where the comedians, they do things. They have tasks. That's a really good description I just gave you. The show where they have tasks. It's called Taskmaster.
I think I've seen one episode. Because that was the one where they destroyed the watermelon, yeah? It's like the first episode.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I would like to watch it, but I don't often get the opportunity.
Nice. Oh, that has happened in an episode. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember the watermelon destroying episode, but I do remember like other bits, but really random bits. Like I'll remember one thing they had to do out of an entire episode, and I'll forget the other like 5 things they had to do.
I like the idea. No. It's mask taster.
Oh my god. Edible masks.
Not even. They're just regular masks. Here's another mask. Taste it. It's kind of doesn't taste different from the previous mask. Whoa! And then everybody goes nuts. Woo!
All right. David.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Wow. So we have the poll.
Oh, was it how fast can you eat the watermelon? Because I think I remember that happening. But I was thinking destroy like hammer or something. I don't know. Oh wait, they didn't have a knife to eat it with. They didn't have something to cut it open. That's what it was. They were just handed a watermelon and they were like, you have to eat it. And like they had nothing to open it with. Now I remember.
Yeah. And then there's the one of them, at the end. I mean, it's just, extraordinary. There were so many people trying so many things to get in there. And then he just because it was all plastic. It was a room that was all plastic. So he just immediately throws it on the floor and just goes after it. It's incredible.
All right. Let's go.
Yeah, so the poll is more of a let's see what we're going to be stuck with and what I decided to vote on myself because I just voted on some myself.
Did you tell your mom to vote?
No, I forgot. And it might have been confusing to explain it since it wasn't a very straightforward poll. It was an open-ended poll.
I guess you haven't figured out. You can just say, "Hey, mom, hand me your phone while it's signed in."
Yeah. So what we did then was we solicited potential forms for our third person plural pronoun. And I think rather than like revealing a winner, it's just going to be a discussion. Because, okay, so let's see the forms that we ultimately settled on. I'm going to go to the last poll right here. We have bonbon, which is a kind of a cool form, but doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'll tell you why. This word, it's onomatopoeia, I get that. And so it starts with a voiceless P, then has a voiceless nasal coda next to a voiced B, and then ends with a voiced nasal coda. Now, I understand, the wanting to, aiming for the result that you want, but I don't really get it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I didn't lend my votes in favor of that.
I mean, we can see where you lent your
Yeah,
votes.
yes, yeah, it's quite clear, and I'm gonna move this over. Even though you can see it, I'm gonna move it over anyway. Jake's suggestion was Bali, which would just be Bali. And Jake made some suggestions about how it could be reduced, but the reductions didn't make so much sense to me. And so I changed them. Because, like, they were like, Bali could reduce to BB or Bali to differentiate from V. But that didn't make sense to me. Bali, it seems like the L is going to drop out and you either get B or Bay from Bai. Anyway. Well done, though, Jake. Thank you for praising Matisse.
Jake is watching on double speed to catch up after Taskmaster ended. So
I
we're good.
like Matisse just throwing out there. I never do the open-ended polls. That's
Well, see, what I like is that Matei said that, and then Jake is like, "Praise to Matei. Good job on never doing those open-ended polls."
Yeah, and by the way, if you want a short name for that, you can just say P2M there. It's praise to Matisse.
Oh, nice.
Yep. All right. So then we have this one that I voted for. So it's protoform is Bazui, which becomes Baze. And now I was regretting voted for it a little bit because I think it's just they're trying to do a SCLU for buzz here. I don't know. Because of the swarm.
Oh, right. Because that's what it was going to mean. Yeah. My brain is catching up.
Anyway, and then we have...
But it's cute.
Then we have ZZ, which with a potential reduction to Z's. So the pronoun would actually be Z's, and then the modern word would be ZZ. Now, in terms of what got the most votes, I think it was, without my votes, it was Bonbon, I'm pretty sure. And then the with my votes, it was Baze. I don't think people liked ZZ, which is too bad. Wait a minute. I think some shenanigans may have taken place.
What, we gotta relook? Did people...
Well, of course, this isn't a traditional poll, so you can keep voting.
Are people messing with it?
Yes. I think there's been...
some messery.
A shenana of again that's happened. I also just like to take this moment to say that we have really been enjoying the spin-off series to Death in Paradise called Beyond Paradise,
Yes.
which features the fellow from Love Actually is the main character, and they're in Devon. And there is an episode this season, the season premiere, took place at the South Devon Railway, which is one of my favorite places in the world that I've been to twice, which travels a very short distance. It's an old style steam train that just travels like, basically one stop. It's a novelty train. One of the sides has an otter and butterfly sanctuary in a small little town called Buckfastleigh. Just wonderful.
Someday David will take me there.
Yeah, someday. All right. So
Patrick.
this is what I propose.
I'm ready.
I think we do another vote. I think we do it here.
Why? Because you're going to take away your votes, and then we also just got more last minute votes?
Yeah, I just there's just been a lot of confusion. And,
It's been a 2
and
weeks.
poor
Hey.
Mateus, it's his stream and he didn't vote.
And can we just momentarily also shout out to me for surviving this past week, because I had a computer death that
that's right.
occurred during the middle of an iCloud transfer, and I momentarily lost every single file that I had. And so it's been a week. So I think if David wants to do a poll, let's do a poll.
Yeah, if we hadn't already moved our streaming location because we were having trouble streaming over there,
Yeah.
it would have been, this week would have been an absolute scramble, a disaster.
Yeah. My big computer is dead. It's flashing a folder with a question mark on it, kind of dead.
Yeah, and so the answer, Jonathan, is we actually we did get back the files that were lost. However, there are more files that weren't being moved that are still on that computer. So there was a moment of panic when we realized it was this awful situation. Jessie had moved all her files onto this computer, then deleted them. Then that computer died, and it was like, oh my God, we just moved all these files, and now they're gone because they're stuck on a dead computer. We got those back because I remembered because they were on iCloud. If you go to iCloud.com, it has a big section of recently deleted things, and it keeps it for 30 days. And so over the course of our vacation, I went through and one by one restored all 7,000 files.
10,000. And Minnie is here.
What?
Take a break from the sad story to say, hey, Minnie.
Oh, me. No, I was trying to do a pun there with Minnie, but goodness. So wonderful to see you, Minnie. So wonderful to see you.
Yay.
Every so often, and this is one of the things that I love about conlanging in general, and what I think a lot of non-conlangers don't understand, is that, periodically we go through our old languages as we're using them for whatever reason. And then it's just like you come across a word and it's like, oh, it's Minnie. And you know why it's Minnie, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was named in honor of Minnie. And then you remember, the whole process of coming up with a word. You remember the person. It's just a really wonderful experience. And that's one of the reasons I love vocabulary creation. And then also just going back through the dictionary and looking at things. You remember what it was like to create those words. And that's one of the things that's most rewarding to me. And I don't think that a lot of non-conlangers really understand that or could even appreciate it. It's essentially like going through old photos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Anyway.
But yeah, so the David rescued all my files because there was no way to restore them all at once. It had to be done file by file. Click, click, click. And so David did it, and thank goodness. But yeah, so I got those files back. We're still dealing with other things. All that is to say, listen, it's been a week. We've had things happen. And now that Minnie's here, we need to hear Minnie's voice on this vote too.
Yep.
And I think we should just find out see if the
Do it
boat
all four.
swings,
Do it all four. Okay.
see if it doesn't swing, just see what happens.
Aquamelon, I apologize for my flippancy. The third season of LangTime Studio was devoted to creating the mouse language, which ended up being called Wokutiju. And Wokutiju is a polysynthetic language. So we spent an entire season creating a polysynthetic language. All right, so start.
We are talking about a word that will be the source for the third person plural pronoun, whose meaning in its original form is going to mean swarm, and the form will then get grammaticalized to be the pronoun.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, and Jake's live now. Woo!
And I'm going to do this way. What should our... what should our... And then the form is going to be proto-modern pronoun.
Nice.
So yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Proto-modern.
Yeah, can you just copy that?
And then the question marks means we're gonna decide.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Jake, when you suddenly get to regular time, it's like, wow, they talk real slow. Also, like while David's typing that, you may not be able to see a difference from your end, but I remembered to drag in our office chairs today, so we're not sitting in wooden kitchen chairs, which already my body is thanking me, if for no other reason than these wonderful, wonderful armrests. I just wanted to point that out too.
Yeah.
Also, the cushions on the back are nice.
And that, we've been doing stress here, haven't we? What's the key code for stress for this thing?
You do Option K and then Shift in this tall line up here.
Option K.
And then this guy. Shift.
Got it. Thank you.
I did it to match the IPA keyboard has that key as the stress marker as well, and I thought that was rather handy.
Okay. So there we go. So, when you're voting for these, the question marks don't mean like, this suggestion wasn't thought out or anything. It means that it's going to be part of the work today. We'll be deciding, okay, how does that word become a pronoun? What do we want to do with it? Also for the second one, I don't want to make a decision just yet about if Bali's going to become B or Bay. We'll figure that out. So here you go. Boy, this is
It's a thinker. Oh, and we can't vote. Oh, no. Are we ready?
Yeah. Man, having to deal with Windows machines was so much a bigger deal during college. Now I don't even think about it. It's really nice.
Well, that's because you don't work outside of your own computer.
Well, I think it's also, though, because the machines have gotten better at talking to each other. Like having to share a text file back in the early 2000s between Windows and Mac was just unthinkable. Now it's like, honestly, it's just gotten better and better. And I find that personally very encouraging. I'm properly chuffed by that.
How different a word chuffed is from chafed.
You only bring that up because we remain chafed in our chastity.
Well, now it's funny how you just changed this one little sound, and obviously chafed is very different from chaste.
Yeah, Bubba, that's something that we noticed immediately. I was commenting on it to Jesse before the stream. We would love to make Jesse's camera warmer. I don't think it's possible.
The real reason is because obviously I am a cool person. David is a warm person. And so your warm heart, my cold hands.
That's right. You
work.
on the right you have happy David, and on the left you have angry Jesse.
It's not angry, pensive,
Mm.
thoughtful, ready to build an ice castle and run away.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, I think that's probably going to do it. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. Um, Also want to mention, I don't know if Bibluridian is here, and I'm not going to say anything, but I will say that Bibluridian has moved from one place to another in terms of finishedness with things. And so you should prepare yourselves to be excited. Don't be excited. Prepare yourselves to be excited within the world of the Biblioridiosphere. Within the Biblioridiosphere, not the world of the Biblioridiosphere.
That was nicely vague. That works.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I read a post on Tumblr about I read a post on Tumblr about actually living in a lighthouse. Oh my goodness, it kind of sounds like a disaster, and honestly, like the last place that somebody like a Bibluridian would want to be. Oh,
Are you
man.
saying so it would be awful for books?
It is apparently so loud,
Oh.
like crazy loud all the time.
Is it because of the ocean or just the
The
mechanics?
machines. Also a dangerous place.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they're usually out like where the waves get crazy because they got to send out the warnings to the ships.
Yeah. So there's apparently this machine in there that is so loud that they put like a line on the ground around it, saying like stay this far back. If you stay in front of the line for too long, you risk permanent eardrum damage.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Mm.
Oh, I forgot to actually look at
It is awkward, isn't it, Bubba? Bibluridian. It seems like it would just roll off the tongue much more easily if it were Biblaridon, huh?
Huh. Bali one.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, did you want me to sell I assumed you were...
You hit publish and then started a conversation about Bibluridian, so I was looking at
Right.
you, not at the screen.
It was because Bali won. And, it's,
Oh,
Baliridian,
obviously.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, and hello, Bibluridian. I wish you the best as you keep trudging through hell.
Oh, by the way, so last Thursday at streaming time, we were in lot for my sister, and so I decided just as kind of a makeup for the stream, I'd do an impromptu Q&A. And one thing I want to be sure of, Bibluridian, I vaguely remember you asking me this before, but you asked me about the Lazarine vowel harmony, and I posted it, and I wanted to make sure that you saw it. That was all. That was all. I posted its inner workings and or how it attempts to work. That's a fun language. Wish I could have done something with the Lazarine. All right. All right. So let's do. So Bali something like swarm.
My little mouse that bends all the little pages here.
Okay, good. That was all. I just wanted to make sure you saw it. That was all. Oh, Jesse, you have to show everybody.
Oh, I will,
what
but I
you
had
got.
to.
It's so cute.
I had to put it on a different page because I can't open it to this one. But I was showing you that it really does bend the little pages, but it's just my notebook, so it's good.
Oh,
okay,
man.
So I bought a bookmark that it's a little curl up corner bookmark, and I'm waiting for it to show up. I'll get a little bit closer there. I think it made it. It's a little mouse curled up on the corner of my notebook page. And I would never use it in a real book, like a reading book, because I will not bend pages and such things, because it makes a little crinkle in the page when you use it. But in my notebooks, that's fine, because my notebooks get tossed into backpacks and whatnot and put onto.
I've never seen the Bee movie. Um, there are a lot of funny things said about it, and how like it's kind of like this very weird little thing, and and so I wanted to see it eventually at one point. Thank you for the suggestion, Arias. We're going to put that suggestion in the suggestion box and leave it there. All right, so Bali, Bali, Bali. All right, what would the natural? It would be Bali. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so modern Bali slash Bali.
Hmm. Jonathan has a bunny just a few feet away.
Did you? Oh, if it already ran away, you probably didn't snap a picture of it. But if you ever, snap a picture of a darling little animal, it is upon you to show it. Okay, so now for the pronoun Bali, could be Bali, Bai, Bai. So it could be Bay, and then Bai, Bali, 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 Bali. Does anything happen to that?
Do we allow such vowel hiatus?
No, but I want to see what would happen if we just forced it to. It just comes out as B. Okay, so it could be Bay, B. Now the third person plural is V, but no, I like this. I like this.
Okay.
Jake, do you like it?
We'll find out.
I actually want to see this.
Aquamelon, I think every conlanger does that.
Yeah. We've actually done that officially for LTS with our penguin and polar bear languages.
Polar bear?
Moose.
You mean reindeer?
Reindeer. Penguin and reindeer languages.
Goodness.
That was it. Okay. Then we will let it be.
Oh, did you see your typo?
Oh, man.
Sorry, David attempted to send a text message and had a pretty hilarious typo.
I'm fixing it. I don't know if Android users will see the fix, but I fixed it.
Okay.
Okay. Babe 2.
Jonathan.
In the city.
Jonathan was like, even I knew that was wrong and I haven't seen those episodes. Knew it wasn't polar bear. Goodness. We did do penguins though, yes.
Wow, this is the first sentence of Babe 2, Pig in the City. The first hazard for the returning hero is his fame. Holy smoke.
That's a sentence to
Yeah.
try to work your way around.
Goodness gracious. Immediately give up.
Okay. Oh, wait.
Oh, Jake with a reference to the let's have a booba conlang relay.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, that was an amazing transition to watch. Both the penguins and the reindeer were in the first year of our streaming. So they would be, I think they were actually both at the end of 2020. Mm-hmm. No, beginning of 2021, I think, for the reindeer. Yeah, I feel like I was in Philadelphia when we did that one.
But this is LangTime Chat, and it's going to be on YouTube, so you can go and see that.
I don't think it was LangTime Chat, babe. It was a special episode for like a holiday or something. where we didn't think people would be there, and or we couldn't be there, so we did it early.
Okay, then it's somewhere on YouTube.
I'm actually gonna see.
It was over Christmas during COVID. Holy smoke!
LangTime YouTube.
It was Christmas Eve.
Oh, that makes sense.
All the town was quiet. All
Was
the
it
children
was
were
it
asleep.
also New Year's Eve by any chance?
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve?
Because they would have both been episodes where we wouldn't be sure we would have.
There it is. New Year's Eve.
Okay, so New Year's Eve was Penguin.
And so Christmas Eve must have been reindeer.
God, I really thought I was in Philadelphia when we did that one. I must have been wrong. But anyway.
Oh, baby.
I was.
Oh, that's a good stretch. Oh, everybody loved it. Okay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add this since it's a noun and it's pretty simple. I'm going to add Bali swarm down.
Here's the reindeer. That was Christmas Eve. Look, you have your sweater on.
Oh, that's right. Dang, you're looking good there. You know what I mean?
Saying I don't look good here.
Dang, you're looking good here. You know what I mean?
Sorry. We're that couple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Bali. I'm going to add it. Delete that. Say it's swarm. And Bali. There we go.
Yeah, the camera. We should see if we can get in the camera settings through your computer to like change hues or something.
If I open up the system settings.
No, not right now. Like, I mean after.
Here, hold on a sec. Hold on a
David.
sec. I'm gonna black out the screen. Black out the screen.
Or I can get
You
like.
do look pretty with that hair.
Oh, thanks.
I like your hair.
Right now or back then?
No, right now I'm looking
okay.
because I'm looking at you. Because OBS is pulled up. Okay, so let's go to
David's trying to fix. Or attempting to see if we even have settings.
sound. Is there a vision?
Like, where would you find the attached webcam?
Displays. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea where you would even find it.
If you here, camera.
Yeah, so it does, and I like couldn't see what the date was, but David's wearing his ugly Christmas sweater, so it must have been the Christmas Eve episode.
Configured amount of expressiveness needed to perform each action. Oh my gosh. Eye blink, raise eyebrows. Oh my, look at this.
Oh, this is the pucker lips left. Just a second. Did you turn it on?
No.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to pucker my lips to the left. Did it do anything?
No, I think that it needs to be turned on, and we
Oh.
have different cameras. But like,
David is playing with camera features, and one of the things is, because you know, like now the new thing for your camera on your Mac is if you like hold up these hands, hearts will come like shooting out on screen. There. It did it on David's.
What?
I don't know. Here, just a second. Does it do it? There they go. And so I was trying to figure out if I could do the pucker one.
how did you do that?
You make a heart hand and you hold it. You gotta hold it. Or you can do like. Did
That's
it do
not
anything?
doing anything.
There we go. Do you see the little thumbs up? It came up in the corner. That's why you can't see it.
Oh,
'Cause
here,
my camera.
bubbles. Huh. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop this foolishness. I have no idea how to adjust Jesse's camera settings. I don't even know if there's software on this. I don't know how this thing runs without software. But
I don't know. That's okay. I'll just be blue while David is bright. That actually works kind of well. I'm more purpley hued. You're more yellowy hued. I like it.
yeah. Yes, I do have a banjo audios. Okay.
And yes, it is possible to opt out of such things,
Yeah.
but I find it quite delightful to be able to surprise David because he keeps forgetting that that's possible, and then I keep breaking it out, and David's like, "What?" And I love it.
Here's the thing that I like. I'm going to use our viewers as the internet. If you can find out how to adjust the settings on a Macintosh for a Logitech HD 1080p camera that attaches via old style USB, I think that's USB-A, and please send us a link or a description of what to do. But we finished our pronouns, so you know what that means.
Do you want to celebrate?
Oh, why not?
Okay. 1 second.
But no, what we need to decide next is if we're going to have any kind of agreement with our verbs. But celebration is going to happen.
Well, I thought because you specifically were like, we made a decision, so you know what has to happen. So I was like, okay.
Oh, Minnie's sending you a rabbit picture.
Ooh! And Jonathan said they got pictures too.
Yeah. All right, the rabbit came back.
Yay!
This is a good day for rabbits.
I'm going to be checking Discord here in a moment.
Cheers, partner.
Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, nice. All right, Minnie, I just got a text.
Kopiko, feed it to your rabbits as a little treat.
No. We don't want to kill the rabbits, David.
Oh, they wouldn't do anything with it. They'd wiggle their little noses at it and hop away.
Make it stuck in their cute little fur paws. Oh my goodness. A second, I'm going to show David here. Look at that bum bum.
What a darling
goodness.
rabbit.
I didn't mean to highlight that. It's like,
oh,
the rabbit's so beautiful, it looks like a black cat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they also apparently have tarantulas. We'll just look at the bunny in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! But that is a good bunny.
Matthias,
Oh my God.
have you spent a lot of time in the ocean? That's a serious question. Like, you know, playing around in the ocean, body surfing, you know, just hanging out in the water. Like, have you done things like that a lot? Especially like, you know, waves.
I don't know.
Once. Oh man, John Quixote's calling. I want to talk to John.
Can you answer and just put John on the...
Hey, John. Just real quick, we're doing... You remember how we do that live stream every week? Yeah, we're doing it right now. So, you know, we probably won't be able to talk, but can I put you on speaker? Do you want to say hi to everybody? All right, here we go. John Quixote, creator of Ithquil, is here.
Yeah, I just thought I'd crash the party, everyone.
Woo!
How's everyone doing? Yeah, I called to have a private conversation with David, and instead it's gone completely public. So
Yeah.
Aren't you used to that by now, John?
Yep.
Oh, of course. You know, that's what happens when you deal with a celebrity.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so
Anyway.
hard at that.
I just had some thoughts about that game development issue that
Yeah.
I wanted to run by you. So when you got a chance,
Yeah.
you can go back.
Well, I don't have to pick up Meridian directly after the stream, so if you're available at 4 p.m.
Yeah, sure.
Great. All right. Talk to you then.
See ya. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. Okay.
There are a number of people I'm very happy that I've met, and I've only met them because of conlanging. John Quixote is definitely one of them. Definitely at the top of the list there. Right below Matthias, who, of course, we are all honoring today. Thank
Yes.
you, Matthias, for your everything. Anyway, but the reason I brought that up, Matthias, is that double salt licorice, what it tastes like, or the sensation that it affects in one, is identical to when you're in the ocean and you get absolutely clobbered by a wave and just like, knocked over, dragged down, tossed around underneath. Like if you're surfing and you get knocked off your board and you're under and you're tumbling around underneath the waves, salt water is just rushing into you. That's the sensation. That's the flavor. That's the taste. It's not a good thing. It's not something that I think anybody would want to seek out. It's usually unpleasant. It's like usually after that happens, you go on shore and you kind of, get your bearings back, decide if you're going to go back in or if you're done for the day, Anyway.
Okay, so...
Yeah, but you weren't drinking it.
David, these were Jonathan's pictures.
Oh, my.
So Jonathan was not kidding. Like, look at this little bunny, like, absolutely mid-leap.
Look, if you come across a rabbit just in your wanderings and you snap a photo, nobody's going to mind if it's a terrible picture. It's going to be like, wow, you saw a rabbit, that's really cool, and you thought to get a photo of it and share it, that's wonderful. These are A-plus rabbit pictures. These are like posed rabbit pictures. These are submit this to the Guinness Book of World Records rabbit pictures. My goodness.
It's like the rabbit was like, oh, you were talking about me? Here's my good side. And did a little modeling.
Woo!
I am enamored. That's gorgeous. Well done, Jonathan. Well done. Okay. So, David, where you said we needed to talk about verb agreement. I think that's where you were going to take this.
Yeah.
Should we enter, though, swarm into the dictionary? Did you already do that while I wasn't looking?
Yeah, I sure did. Man, you just pulled a David.
Did you enter it on the English side, or should I go do that?
I'll let you enter it on the English side.
You already did, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I'll do something. Bali. Make sure I spelled it right, yes.
Patrick says, verbs should disagree with their arguments. One thing that I've always thought was very elegant about English is the fact that we have the same suffix for plural as we do for third person singular agreement.
Oh, yeah.
And so when it's present on the noun, it's absent on the verb. And when it's present on the verb, it's absent on the noun. I think that's really elegant. I don't think it was designed that way. I think it was just an accident.
Oh, I'm going to say it very much was an accident. Especially since we used to have multiple plural forms because, English used to have genders and whatnot for nouns.
Yeah. So one of the things that...
Patrick. Yes, one of those things. Go on.
Well, Jesse and I have been keeping this joint journal for the past 3 years that was given to us by your sister and dear beloved patron Angie. Did I just say Andrea?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
It went dark on mine, too. Should I just close? Because the only thing I did was enter swarm. And that's easy. So I'm just going to close the document on my end.
Okay.
Do you want to save a copy?
I
guess all we did was baby and Bali, Balu.
I don't believe them. I don't believe what I'm being told by this program.
Well, then why don't you close the document, black out the screen, and then reopen it? Because I think you have to black out the screen before you reopen it. Because otherwise, it'll pull up all your other things. Bye, Bubba. Well, apparently Paige's knew Bubba was leaving and was like, what's the point even?
No, Bubba just saw that and he was like, oh, brother,
quit.
Here we go again.
There it is. So it was in there.
All right.
And those are in there? Yeah. Okay. So our forms are all still in there.
I'm going to try.
I'm going to attempt to reopen the document and see if I can join you. Well, that was an exciting little hiccup.
Hey, Carl. Oh, no, it's done it again.
Again?
You're
Okay.
offline.
Wow, it says I'm online for the moment.
Well, I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm just going to wait. We'll see if it fixes itself while we discuss things. Number
And if
one.
it doesn't, I can always shut mine and we can just work off yours until we...
A big congratulations to Carl and me, because Halo's been picked up for a third season, and
Yay!
so our wild and crazy Sangheili language will be back. Such a fun one to pronounce. Anyway, where I was before all of the errors was in this journal. One of the recent entries was, what bad habits are you going to give up over the course of the next year? And the one I wrote down was essentially avoiding the unpleasant things that you don't want to do. And I feel like the past 3 streams, we've been avoiding tackling what we are going to do with the verbs in this language.
I thought we weren't ready yet.
That is a convenient excuse. I mean, we could say we're still not ready. Like, we haven't put bows on all the nouns. We haven't.
And so we should do that before we get to verb inflections, David. No, you're right, though. We should embrace the spirit of your recent, this is what I'm not going to do.
Yeah. So I want us to have this discussion and do it right now. So we've already decided that this is going to be an SOV language, and we know it's going to be essentially moderately inflectional. It's not going to be a polysynthetic language. It's not going to be, I don't know. Well, we could decide if it's going to be weird like Tapahla or not. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what do we want to do with this? And like, one of the first decisions now that we have the pronouns done is if we're going to have agreement. And if so, how much?
Also, to answer Minnie's question, the partitives come from a word meaning stick. Yeah?
Yeah, hold on a sec. Did I?
And these forms just got obviously overly condensed. The nouns are a little bit more predictable.
Yeah. So to give you an example, we have this in the protoform. The pronoun that means you all is ankh. Ankh. It's a voiceless velar nasal. And so the nominative is just an, which is what happens with this form. The partitive would be angu. I'm sorry, no, I keep getting Tapahla mixed in. It would be angu, angu. And we figured with a pronoun, the first verb will probably drop off, and so it just becomes ngu. And so it looks pretty wild, but it's just explained by standard kind of morphological lenition. Pages is back online. See, I know it was just having a moment.
I'm back. I went for a little mental break while we were doing things. What did I miss?
No, like that. They have to look at the way that these, error message, because I swear these things just try to gaslight you so much. It was me who was gone. Like it was my thing that was having the issue. I was offline. And then it's like, it comes back online and it's like, oh, Jesse finally came back. It's like, excuse me? No, that was me with the issue. Anyway.
It's sweet of you to try to correct that.
Anyway. P2M. Well done, Daniello. Daniello.
Also, so did you see that Matthijs is saying that he had a resolution for this year to do all the things that he wants to do, but was too scared to pursue. And I love that. Do
remember, and this is kind of important, that there's sound changes which apply to the entire language, but then there's also extra levels of lenition specifically that applies to morphology and can apply to morphology, and it can be a bit ahistoric and different from the kind of lenition you see elsewhere in the language. All right. Nice, Jake. I guess the question is, do we want to go lighter with this language, or do we want to go a little bit heavier? So, like, Ingala, of course, agrees with its absolutive argument,
Mm-hmm.
and it agrees fully.
And we have not super case marking. We've got the partitive that will mark objects.
And then we've got postpositions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it might clean things up a little bit if we had some subject agreement.
Just some light subject agreement.
Yeah, and like it could be just suffixes because, it'd be like, you're being reminded of what the subject is since it's the furthest thing away by the time you finish the sentence. So that's one possibility.
Kind of like a right clefting end of sentence, topical.
Mm-hmm.
This one. Patrick is suggesting agreeing in number but not in person.
We already did that.
It can agree in person and not in number.
This is Wokutishi. I don't know if agreeing in person and not number makes sense since the first person and second person plurals are not derived from the singulars.
That's a good point, David.
Hmm.
Same for third, yeah, because those are totally different words.
Yeah.
And so deriving them from the pronouns is what we're thinking, yeah?
Yeah, I don't think explicit transitivity marking makes sense with SOV. Because by the time you get to the verb, you should really know.
That it's SOV, or sorry, that it's transitive or not, because you've gotten all the arguments in the sentence. And obliques, for that matter, by the time you hit the V.
Direct inverse also doesn't necessarily make sense. Not with this. You need animacy for that.
And we've made no decisions about verbs yet, right? This is our first verb decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we just know that they're coming at the end. I love the idea of agreement based on, like singular and then inclusive versus exclusive. It would make more sense if those pronouns were actually derived differently. If there was something that actually marked inclusivity specifically, as opposed to what we're doing, which is just a new inclusive pronoun. There's nothing that, does it.
Okay, so I feel like what we've come up with so far in this language leans more towards lighter marking in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a sort of subject agreement, fine. But I think that then... Have we done a system on here yet where like the verb itself does not inflect for like tense aspect distinctions or something where it would require a particle or adverb to give context, but not actually a...
No, we haven't done that. We also haven't done, we haven't explicitly done the thing that we hated in Nationality.
I was actually the auxiliaries, and
Yeah,
I
the
was
auxiliaries.
actually thinking that this language could lend itself to some auxiliary.
Yeah,
I know it was a lot of work, but I also think it could be
yeah,
a cool thing because then it's like if there's no context needed, we could actually just have the, which was not something we could do in Ashnamari because of the way we treated it, but the verb itself could take the subject agreement suffix if we go with the suffix, which I think is a good idea. But that doesn't provide any context. And as soon as more context is needed, or as soon as some marking is needed, that would be offloaded to an auxiliary. So the auxiliary would actually take the agreement.
yeah. So this is kind of like what I was hoping to do with Ajnamari, and then things kind of got out of hand. And like something that, because something okay, so the reason I wanted to do it with Ajnamari, right? Because we were trying to make things simple on ourselves. And the reason that I thought of that for being simple was because of Hindi.
Oh, and Minnie is saying something like Hindi right there.
Yeah. And so, like with Hindi, right, you have to learn these copular forms that come at the end, even so they're not too difficult. And like everything that comes before, it's just like, it's just basically the infinitive form of the verb, which is just the bare root. And it's just so elegant and so simple. It really, really works.
By the way, I also want to take a moment to point out that you should always kind of laugh when you hear a conlanger say something like, I'm going to make this easy on myself and do X. Because I promise you that X will seem easy on the surface. And then by the time you get into the details of the features, it will complicate either in the feature itself, or it'll make the entire system slightly more complicated to use. So at some point, complexities will happen. At no point is there any actual simple way to do these things. And so you can always laugh. And yet, you will still hear David and me and other very experienced conlangers say things like, oh, I'm going to try to do something a little bit easier with this language and do this. And it is never easier. But we haven't learned yet. We haven't learned. We still say it. And I caught myself saying that the other day when I was talking about a language. I was like, oh, I'm going to make it easier. And David just looked at me and I was like, I know.
By the way, don't just when you find a phenomenon in a language, don't just take it at face value. What's happening in Russian is that the past tense forms are actually participles. That's why they agree in gender and number, and don't look a lot like a verb. It's because they're not actually finite verb forms historically. Anyway, so here.
No, we've run many off. She had no idea that
all we had to do was say that it was difficult. I want to just,
because up till now, Shania has been just so easy, right? It's been really straightforward, no decisions. Yeah.
I want to show everybody the verbs of Hindi because they're so fun. What do we have here? Oh, those postpositions. Yeah, I can't see the thing over there. Verbs, here we go. Okay, so verbs. You have all of these. These are all copula, right? And then I guess to do conjugates fully too.
If you want the full chart, you're going to need to scooch over about an inch.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm waiting to find something that I want to show.
That's a cool table within a table. Look at that. Nice.
Wow. but like you can look at here, these are just first person plural, but no,
No, they're just first person. The
that's
P stands for person because
first
this
stands for
column is for
person,
plural, which is
right?
weird.
Meh. Okay, so here's an interesting thing, and you can see why it's separated into masculine and feminine. You might think, oh my goodness, Hindi has a masculine and feminine first person singular. It doesn't. This is actually a participle that is agreeing with the subject in gender, and that's why. And so you could see it's just like, karta, right? And karti. And then the whole time it's just like all these things, these are the things that are just changing. So it's karta is because we're talking about this is just to do. That's the form the entire way through the paradigm. And what changes is the auxiliary. Ta. I didn't learn all of these, so I don't know how they're pronounced. And huta. Wow. So the indicative is the same as the subjunctive in the present tense. That's kind of cool. Anyway, and I don't know how many. At least you can see this, right? Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of a separate form for this thing. Why is this?
Think out loud.
Oh, I guess because this is ergative. Yeah. Okay, and so that's so these wouldn't be here because it's presumably you don't. Yeah, you don't. Well, anyway. I don't know. Just look at it. You'll like it. We're gonna move on.
Forget about it.
So we don't have agreement, and so that'll make this simpler. And so the question is, how are we going to affect this kind of change? Do we want verbs to conjugate on their own, or do we always want them to co-occur with an auxiliary?
So one of my original flashes of ideas, like when you first mentioned this, earlier today, was that if we allowed verbs to sometimes conjugate, you could say something like, I dance. And it could be like with the first person subject agreement marker directly on dance. And without context, without any context at all, that could be translated as I danced, I'm dancing now, I always dance, whatever. It's just like a sort of like out of context, you would never really use it because like it's not defined. However, in a conversation, it could be a really easy way of like, oh, well, what are you doing tomorrow? And you've got this whole thing set up, and then you could just be like, I dance. And it's like, oh, yeah, we understand what you mean because we've been in this conversation, like setting up a whole conversation about what we're doing at a specific time. And so it I think could provide an elegant or efficient way of shortening discourse. But then, like, there's this other system where it's like you're going to have the markers there because, especially if you're just introducing things or you're setting up a story or you're like trying to get to a point, like you need to have a little bit more context. And I think you could have the choice of being more specific or very informal and brief if the situational and linguistic contexts have been established. So that was my original idea. I'm not stuck with it. Like, it's not like if you say that that is not how you're feeling for this language, my feelings are not at all going to be hurt.
Okay.
I will still make you the delicious food I have planned for the week.
Can't wait. Oh yeah, Jesse's really excited. I think Jesse's just aching for tomorrow. Am I right?
Well, we got to get the groceries tonight, and I got to make sure I can get all the groceries I need, which will take a little bit of research. But yes, I'm ready to start making the next like 3 meals because I'm very excited. Okay.
All right. Yeah, I think that works. What it means is that you will need to learn the conjugation for each verb, so that's something that will need to be a part of it. And so we'll need here's what I'm thinking. So we have this basic form, right? That's verb suffix. And then we have compound forms, verb, and then auxiliary suffix. We call this agreement. And the question is this anything?
Okay.
That's
Yeah. And also, you're right. Does it make sense to then have to know multiple forms? Why not? If at that point, why not just have like a basic auxiliary form that you can use that is a little bit devoid of context?
That isn't quite the way I would phrase it.
Okay.
The question is, it takes effort to learn how to properly conjugate something, right? And so does it repay the effort for these basic forms to be retained?
Okay.
That's the question. But I think initially the answer is yes. Long term, I don't know. This was just the thing if we just want to just go with the bare form of the verb or if we needed to do something to it. We don't have accusatives, right?
No, because we went with partitive as the sort of.
Mm-hmm. They were sleeping. What's ing? The primary, right, we have this primary and indirect object, yeah. Okay.
In Matthias, I don't have all of the specifics yet to announce it, but I promise I will post pictures on Discord as the week unfolds. Let's just say that I have bought a new cookbook. While we were on vacation, we went to this really cool little bookstore in Columbus, and I treated myself to a cookbook I found there, and it's a Caribbean cookbook, and I have already bookmarked several recipes that I want to try immediately.
Are we saying that these locatives are going to be the same? This is kind of a separate issue. I should focus on what we're doing. Yeah. I think we've got so many other particles that are going to show up for other reasons. I think we should just do that.
Okay.
The only thing that might show up is a theme vowel for pronunciation.
Patrick suggesting I'm marinating the cookbook itself in the fridge, and it just made me laugh as I thought of this image of us cutting into the cookbook and tasty.
Yeah, and so unlike Minnie, that's what I was thinking, but it's like if you follow that out, suddenly these forms get quite long.
Yeah.
And that was what I was balking at. So the only question is if we want some sort of euphony because the places where this might occur. So it's like, let's say that this is, we have, what was it, verb auxiliary. So if we have this, that's good. And this, that's good. The question is what happens when we have this or this if we want to do anything with these. And that's where something could be, either a consonant could be inserted to clean up the hiatus, or a like copy vowel, which we would call a theme vowel, could be inserted.
Like, we're not close to a train, and that sounded like a train whistle.
Yeah.
That was slightly alarming.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just the only question there. But let's here. I'm gonna.
Hey, Tethys.
How do you do? I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna put these in red so that we remember it. But let's skip that for right now, and let's come up with 2 different verbs. Maybe let's come up with 4 different verbs. 4 different verbs.
And we have not come up with any verbs yet.
None at all. None at all. So this is what we want.
I totally thought we had a couple forms, but I guess
This is what we want.
Mm-hmm.
C final form, A final, I final, U final.
In Minnie, I gave you the wrong protoform for the partitive. It comes from the verb to bite.
Oh.
We have to bite is a verb that, not that we need to use this form, that could have been grammaticalized and something else could have taken over as the meaning of to bite, but we do have a verb there.
Honestly, let's do it. That's good. So we've got our C final form. To bite. And what happens to that?
Something, right? Or did we still ignore, for a long time we had completely ignored.
It lengthens?
Because the voiceless nasal also affects the vowel, so I think we ended up making the voiceless.
Yeah, so that's
Affect
modern.
vowel quality.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. So let's come up with some potential verbs. One that ends in an A, one that ends in an I, one that ends in an OO. We're not going to concern ourselves with things that potentially end with 2 vowels.
Oh, Patrick, you're right. We do need, for sure, like to build or to stack to.
Let's start with to stack.
And what feels stacky? Oh, I need to go back up here because I super forget what all of our proto sounds are. Only have the E, U, ah. We need something that ends in an ah. Ba, ma, ka. Do you want it 2 syllables? Do you want it 1?
Yeah, let's do one. I was thinking of appa.
Appa.
Or actually, I guess that would be appa. Huh? I final.
Okay, that was appa.
Oh, this is to stack, not to build. What am I doing? To stack.
But does it matter if it's a diphthong or like a double vowel situation, or do you want I final as like it's the only vowel? So like
Let us not have anything that ends in a double vowel for
okay, so no ui, because that was where my brain was going. So I'm gonna take that thought away. Oh, well, obviously, we need Dali means to sing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Named in honor, of course, of Salvador Dali, because that's
Obviously.
how the stress of this language works. I'm going to treat myself to a peanut. This peanut, in fact.
All right, and now we need an ooh.
What a lovely peanut. It's like eating tasty wood.
How about Izu?
Yeah, by the way, did you want that to be regular D or did you want it to be dental D?
I'm good either way. What does dental D become as an onset?
The.
So Dali?
I mean, now we should do, because
The.
it's honoring.
Yeah, so let's do
Yeah,
regular.
if we did dental D, it truly would be honoring Salvador Dali. Izu.
Izu feels...
Or Izu.
Izu?
Yeah.
I was going to say like to rub, thinking of like
I love
kind of
that.
rubbing wood together.
I love
or
that.
Paws,
All right.
rubbing fur.
Okay. So we got our verbs. Now, I think shoot. Well, I've already entered all of these into the dictionary, so I removed their protoforms, but they kind of are useful at the moment. Do you think we can put our protoforms for not the inclusive, but the basic pronouns? So all the singular ones, and then the plurals plus the exclusive. We're going to leave out the inclusive.
Put them in the chart.
No, just right near here. So
I mean, I super agree that we need them. All right, first person comes from Kai.
okay.
Okay. Just a second. Let me just get up here. You all, second person plural is with a voiceless
Right.
feeler. The you singular is Eve. Okay. Oh, I was kite. We already got that. And he, she, it. You said you don't need that.
Oh no, I do.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't. Lan, nath.
We'll have to look that up. So
Well, lan is edge or end, and ath is something.
okay.
Oh, there. Ath is there.
Okay.
Okay. And then should have been doing that. That was nath. Okay. We exclusive is view with the proto v and then you.
Okay.
Okay. And then we inclusive is zo plus im. Z-A-U
Oh,
plus im.
I know that, and we still have that here, but we also don't need that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it.
And then the new one is Bali. Matthijs, this is your day, so I give you permission to get something snacky and put it into your house. It might be difficult at this hour, but you have my permission. Okay. So I have
Yeah, do you have an idea? Is that?
I have a bizarre idea.
Oh, I love your bizarre ideas.
So the way that we got this third person singular is hlan, which is whatever it is, some sort of noun, and ath is there. What if ath were actually the agreement trigger and it just was for third person singular and plural?
Oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lan is this the third person singular pronoun to remind
Oh my
everybody
god.
was actually Patrick's suggestion, and it stands for like the end there or the edge there, meaning like you're referring to the person carrying the other end of the log. So it's effectively a way to say friend. What did you just realize?
I'm okay. I have a potential idea which I think is very strange. Okay, first singular slash plural inclusive is e. And this one is actually we. And then the second singular forms are the pronouns themselves. So for the second person.
Ethan. Oh.
Yeah. And then third person is off. And this is our agreement.
I like it.
This one is unique. But all of these are VC. Every single one of them is VC except for this one, which starts with a V and is heavy. But these will be easy and will help us, I think. All right, so here's okay, so here's where we have to ask ourselves an uncomfortable question, which we've neatly ignored. And it's going to be relevant. It's going to be relevant for our orthography. We have said in the proto stage, we allow this.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that is either this or this. We do not allow this. I'm going to strike it through. This is what we've said. We've said this is completely disallowed. All right. But we have, like, let's say that, let's say we're talking about appa right now. It seems quite natural to, allow something like appa plus this becoming appim becoming appem, and excuse me, which could potentially become which we don't have. We don't have
The nasal A.
Yeah. And so,
Like, I feel like that level of reduction, I don't know. It's also hard because syllable structures that are allowable can shift.
Yeah.
And so protoforms, you can have one set of restrictions. Restrictions. I said that. I said it. I own it. They're restrictions.
Yeah.
But you can have one set of restrictions for the structures. That's what I was going for, of the protoforms. And then really have things shift, which is why you can, for instance, start with a CVC language and end up with like a CCV, CCC language, where it's like, through sound changes and whatnot. We have not yet, though, addressed whether the syllable structures will shift in Beaver language.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so do we want to allow the nasalized mid vowels in conjugated verbs only, since they'll never appear anywhere else? Because like it's an entirely like this feels like a tougher question than for example, let's do Izu and Eve. I mean, ignoring the fact if we ignoring the question if we have other lenition going on, but it's like this is a much easier question because it's like, all right, we at least have this vowel. They're comfortable with this vowel. Now the question is, are we going to allow them to put a consonant on the end? This one is introducing a vowel that doesn't exist in the language,
and it's not necessarily a question of could you see these structures being allowed in the language at all. The bigger question, because I can see in later compounds being like, yeah, as forms come together, you could end up getting this kind of heavier syllable than was ever allowed in the earlier stages of the language. But the real question then becomes, when were these heavier structures allowed? And when did the nasal drop off, leaving the nasal vowel? So at what point did you have appa im, which became appa with that nasal
Yeah.
and then like appa could become something else. It's just like, when did all of these changes happen relative to when this other heavier syllable may or may not have been allowed? Because that's really going to change how forms may end up being.
Yeah. And then there's the separate question of these things are kind of like epenthetic by their very nature. They're positives. They're throw-ons. Let's try to see how we get W. V becomes W before round vowels.
Indeed. I'm not wild about introducing new vowels for a verb conjugation that in my head was more for casual.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even necessarily be a system that, as you had mentioned, it wouldn't necessarily be a productive system that even sticks around. If we're talking about the auxiliary forms, makes much more sense. Or saying that these forms are so old that, like they reduced even more, where like a nasal vowel that could have popped up in the intermediate stage has disappeared and it's now just a regular A instead of N.
because I'm trying to work with stress here and think about how this would be said, because it'd be like, da 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 da, a buying, you know, and then kind of like an off, a buying, buying, a buying. Is that a buying, 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 buying? I think that just kind of dies, doesn't it? And then like,
we
let's see.
we are going to
Let's see.
need to decide in general. Oh, sorry.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Let's see.
Now I'm moving everything around. My wheelie chair. We are going to need to decide in general, because these are not the only forms that are going to come together. Compounds and whatnot, like we're going to get instances of potential vowel hiatus, and I am fine with vowel hiatus because I kind of like it.
Okay.
And so like I'm fine with having this syllable breakage. It would need to, of course, we would need to make sure that it, I guess, would be entered correctly, that it would break over the syllable and not reduce. But like I would be okay saying that it stays like apain.
I don't like that for the verbs.
Okay.
Can you pull up the sound changes for what happens with all the verb sequences?
The verb sequences?
Vowel.
Oh, okay.
There's a table.
Oh, sorry. I was reading through each one. Okay, yeah, here.
Mm-hmm. So ow becomes o, oa becomes
Tethys is asking, wasn't there a form earlier where a vowel was deleted in a similar situation?
That was probably the. It was probably the partitive. Because we had rules.
Yes, because we, especially when there were two, like when you had a diphthong plus the partitive, you ended up having. Ew.
You're right. And just becomes o. Yeah. Yes. Was it Tethys that
Yeah,
said this?
Tethys.
Yes, Tethys. Pardon me, Toothus is right. And it was the initial vowel that dropped out, I think. Though I'm looking at these forms. But this, I think, is instructive. This is instructive, and that is a very good suggestion. We should use this as a template for what to do. Unfortunately, these, of course, were only with you, but they show you what happens with these three vowel sequences. So like with ah, right? It doesn't matter if it ends in ah, or au. Essentially, the like vowels reduced, and then the thing happened. Like vowels reduced, and then the thing happened.
And it also, we took away the lengthening of the vowel that was left from the L.
Yes.
And so we may consider taking away the nasality of, say, im, and just have it be e. That affects whatever it's added to.
Good point. Good point.
And then the M could show up, because this partitive, if it's followed by something that starts with a vowel, like a postposition, the L returns. If an auxiliary starts with a vowel that follows, well, no, this wouldn't be, you wouldn't have this form. This would only be final forms, yeah? So that M just doesn't reappear, I don't think.
I want to like start actually playing with these, and it's kind of awkward to do this when like usually this is the last thing you do, but I want to start playing with these.
Sure.
So we it was singular, plural, inclusive, and then first person plural exclusive, and then singular plural.
Here, I can leave that open on my computer here, if that helps.
So singular, plural, and then inclusive, exclusive, delete.
Merge. Boy, it is not wanting to right click there.
That's been happening ever since the update.
Actually, they should have a shortcut for merging cells. Oh well.
All right, so we're going to start with APA.
Okay.
And I'm just going to put this there. And some of these are not going to be relevant. That includes... And then, yeah, this is all going to be the same, right? Third person.
Yeah, the third person will be the same.
Merge,
and then actually...
Second person, it's going to be the same.
First and second, or sorry, first person and inclusive plural are going to be the same. Singular and inclusive plural.
That is correct. Yes. Oh, what a funky table.
Oh, it makes a little stair step.
This is
Look at
incredible.
that.
It also looks kind of like a wall that's made out of bricks. I love this.
Yay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the forms pulled up here still on my computer.
Let's do... So I'm just going to write this in, and then this is eth, this one was oth, this one was on, right? I know it's voiceless. And then this one was...
the exclusive is the view. Yeah.
Okay. So this one should be simple.
Above view? Yeah.
Right. Does that change? Does it? Because it's a round vowel, does it change?
According to our pronoun, no, but why would we make it a W before a round?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just leave that like that. And now this one, we said these things drop out. And I see the sense of that. Not that it's like, as I'm sounding it out, it's like sounds plausible, but because we did it before. Yeah. We didn't, for the partitive, we had a voiceless L. Ordinarily, that voiceless L triggers lengthening. But we decided to not do that with our partitive. It just dropped out. And so we're going to do the same thing with the nasalization. We're going to have that drop out rather than trigger nasalization. And so now we can go to this one and say,
when the oo was followed by an oo, it just stayed oo.
All right.
Like nothing happened.
All right. Then I think we're going to leave that up and up by. I think this should be the same as that. It's not necessarily always, these aren't always going to be the same, but I think that they should be the same in this case. And this abath, it's a little stronger, so we'll leave it abath. Unless you think it should abath, unless you think that should drop out too.
That one came from off.
Yeah.
Okay.
We dropped the eth. Yeah. I think eth is a weaker sound than eth, but we can drop this one too. What do you think?
I mean, when potential reason to drop it is we are going to get verbs that end in diphthongs, which then we'll have to decide the ways that things coalesce.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe we're just going to say that they don't ever end in diphthongs. But I think I see the seeds of a pole here. So I want to...
And there is some... I do want to put in a vote here because, I mean, I see reasons either which way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to just lay it out that with so many forms basically condensing, right? Where it's like you're looking at this table and it's like, oh my God, they're almost all the same. That would be a real strong motivation to create a series of auxiliaries.
It's true.
Because suddenly your verbs are giving you nothing. They're not giving you person marking. They're not giving you real distinctions. And so like that would be motivation to say, well, these forms still exist. They're these old forms that like you can use. Again, when context is so clear that you can kind of figure out who's doing what and what you mean and when and all of that information just from context. And so these forms can still be used. But I think it would be strong motivation to sort of introduce effectively a verb followed by an auxiliary that's more clearly marked with some of this information. There'd be a strong case for, in other words, this appa form with no th left over. Even without it, there's a lot of condensing across the board. Exactly, Jake. The verbs, they aren't giving.
I don't know what happens in this circumstance. Oh, it does lengthen. Okay. So, and in fact, this should actually be red in this case.
Oh, yeah, because the L would come back with these. Yeah. It effectively rescues.
Okay.
Nice.
These are actually looking very similar. We'll see what happens with the next one. Okay, and that is one that ends in an E, Dolly.
Dolly, yeah. There's the list.
Yeah, these are, because one is E and the other one is Eth, and they both just feel
Yeah.
So.
And then you get, of course, the woo. Ia becomes...
A, doesn't it?
I think it does. Whoop, whoop. Oh, I passed it. I was scrolling too fast. Yeah, it does become A. So Dali.
So this is one of the ones where we have to ask what would happen because we don't ordinarily allow A with a coda.
Right.
Do we have a ya as a consonant? I don't think we do. We don't.
No. Not even as like a modern form.
I think this is likely what would happen. It would be Dalith.
Okay.
All right. If we do that.
And then, all right, so you got U to bite, Appa to stack, Dali to sing, and Izu
Isu.
to rub.
So Isui becomes Ui becomes right?
One moment while I pull that chart back up. Ui does indeed become I. My favorite one.
That's the same there. And so this would, following that logic, Ua becomes
A The letter E with the or the diacritics. Oh my god. I wanted to call them diphthongs. Umlaut. That was what I was trying to say. Of course, all the D words were being triggered in my brain because diaresis was the other term.
I like the first person plural exclusive being weird.
Yeah.
Because after all, the whole point of using an exclusive is to emphasize we're talking about us, not you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fine that that sticks around. Honestly, I think this is the one that is, even though it's the strangest, it's the most stable of all of them, and what we're definitely going to stick with. The rest. So we've got at least 2 options for a poll here. We may consider others because with one option, there's mass syncretism. So in other words, 3 forms are going to be the same, and these 2 forms would be the same if the right option wins.
Yeah.
I think that we may work on this a little bit and introduce 2 more options that split those apart a little bit. And then, like, whether they go with or without the third person. Maybe not. Maybe not. I actually do have a third option that I want to consider. And I don't know how to write it in this table so that we make sure that it's clear.
What's your... can you talk through it?
I'm thinking about keeping those off consonants.
The coda consonants?
Yeah.
For the... would it just be the eth from the... trying to remember the protoforms here.
Yeah, except that, yeah, I actually, because the E is stronger than the ah, that's what I'm going with. I'm thinking of this.
And it would devoice.
Yes. Just because it's end of the line, end of the breath. And so then, but then this one will be ape and apith. This one will be Dolly and Dollyth because it's already got an E on there. But this will be ease.
So effectively, we would want to... well, what we're going to need to do is pair these in different ways to create the systems and say which system.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a good pull.
And then once we actually sit down to create our auxiliaries, we're going to stick with the choices we make with these conjugations, but then we'll just choose the bases, or roots for our auxiliaries with care so that they are exactly the way that we want them to be. All right. I'm good with this, and I think it's interesting because I think there's going to be 3 options for this poll, because I don't think it makes sense to include the consonant coda for second person and not for third person. So it's going to be very minimal, very syncretic, right in the middle, and then slightly more than that.
Yeah. Bye, Jake. I agree.
All right.
And so, was the Dolly one a mistake? Both of them have the TH?
Which one? This one?
Yeah, shouldn't one of them not have a TH?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe you were trying to say that
Very
there's
sorry.
some case for always having it on this particular form for whatever reason. And so I was assuming you got it right.
No, thank you for fixing that, pointing it out for me.
Okay, no, I like this. And yeah, this does have strong implications for what we will end up doing for the auxiliaries. And so it'll be a very important poll that Matthijs will vote in because it's not open-ended. And
Yeah. Yeah.
in honor of Matthijs' celebration, of course.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that Matthijs gets first vote.
Let's spend the rest of this time praising Matthijs. There's actually apparently this very
P2M.
this very famous book. I guess it's actually famous. I saw it at Aaron's parents' house, and I was just laughing at the title of it. But I guess it's famous because the title of the book is "Let Us Now Praise Famous Men." Or no, wait, "Let Us Now Praise Great Men." That was it. It's an old book, and it's like. It's like,
Excuse me.
You know who doesn't get enough praise? Great men. And so that is the book. And it's all about Matthijs. Wild. He wasn't even born yet. But yeah, we got to look it up now because I think it might be famous enough that it has a Wikipedia. Let us now. No, it is famous. It is famous. It's not great. Let us now praise famous men. It's even worse.
What?
It's 1941.
What? Okay, I need to.
Oh,
look this
well,
up.
actually, this is actually interesting because apparently the work documents the lives of impoverished tenant farmers during the Great Depression. So I think the title must be ironic. Oh wait, here we go. Here it comes from a passage in the Wisdom of Sirach that begins, "Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us."
Okay, so
Okay.
the title is misleading.
Yeah. Probably intentionally so.
But I mean, still. Oh. Wow, they straight up, they're like, hey, here's all the pseudonyms, and hopefully these people don't mind being named as the actual people now.
Well,
Because they were pseudonyms in the book, and now it's like, here's who all those stories were actually about.
I mean, they're probably all dead, yeah.
That just because you're dead, does that mean your family legacy no longer wants to honor the fact that you were a private person in life?
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who are very private right now, and it's not like I'm going to suddenly blast all their secrets if they
By the way,
aren't here tomorrow.
this sounds like a Star Trek thing. The Wisdom of Sirach.
What is it when you hoover over it?
Oh, Sirach. Or at least in English. Sirach.
My God, Ecclesiasticus.
Oh.
I love it.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, man, whoever handwrote that is gorgeous. Look at that. Oh. Wow. Love that. Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know people who I think they would literally just come back as a ghost if their private business was aired. They would know it even in death, and I respect that.
It represents a genre literary evolved during the Italian Renaissance.
Oh. All right. Well, David, we've made it. We've done things today. We have now praised one famous man,
Yeah.
who should be more famous, really, because you're awesome, Matthijs.
Yep.
And sorry, Matthijs, I'm laughing at your comment. We love you. All right, so thank you all for being here. We will see you next Thursday. If you're a patron this Saturday, as long as you don't forget, it was supposed to be a patron stream. Is it still?
Oh, well, that'll be so much fun because you know what? We're going to be doing something a little different, a little throwback. We've been spending a lot of time coming up with names for the rabbits, but we've done it.
Yay!
We've done it, and so we are now going to be coming up with names for our Tapahla characters. Honestly, this is the part that I swear Dark Horse would have wanted to be here for.
Yeah.
But I'm really sorry, especially if you watch the streams. You know, now Dark Horse, you go back. Like the streams are like the work, so that you can get to the part where you do the writing
fun
and the
things.
world
Yeah.
building and things like that. We're doing this stuff before you get to the stuff.
And so, yeah, we'll have to decide on a naming strategy.
Yeah, 'cause we haven't done that at all.
For the possums, and then we'll actually start coming up with names. And so, yeah, that will be Saturday.
Yes.
Hope to see you there. If you're not there, just know we feel
Yeah.
you in spirit.
Bring your
And
what was I going to say? Your biological information about opossums, because that will certainly be relevant.
Yes. And we will see you then.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, you got it. Yes, you do.